Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. One of our Vedanta teachers, whom many of you know, he was recently in an accident and is in the hospital with minor injuries. Let us all pray for his swasti. Close your eyes, direct your thoughts to our Vedanta teacher. Tapatraya vinashaya Shri Krishnaya vayam numaha. This is part of one of the prayers that I chant with Vyasa as I put him to bed. So I'll hold his one hand in my hands and I'll chant this. And he obviously doesn't know the Sanskrit, like you don't know the Sanskrit. So I'll share with Vyasa what this prayer means is, may we all be him, as in our original parent, the divine. Do you all remember when we started Meaningful Mornings this semester? We started on September 11th. And in such a short period of time, we have, September 10th, sorry, in such a short period of time, just 20 days, reflect on how much we have accessed in terms of leading oneself, leading others, understanding humans. Meaningful Mornings is Ascharya. This is an amazing community opportunity. Sri Krishna, in verse 31, has stated two important virtues for every seeker. The first, anasuya. Anasuya does mean, technically, the one who's not jealous. Those familiar with Sanskrit Hindi, you know this. I shared with all of you, it is one who is positive. Because the references for Sri Krishna's teachings. Jealousy relates to other people. That's not our reference right now. Our reference is to Sri Krishna's teachings that one should have a positive outlook. The next, Shraddha, which does mean faith. You all know that in Sanskrit and Hindi. I shared with you, it means to be reflective. Whatever you have faith in, you reflect upon. If you don't have faith in that, you don't reflect upon that because this is in reference to Sri Krishna's teachings. In verse 32, Sri Krishna, the master teacher, goes from teaching with love to teaching with fear, teaching from a positive perspective to a negative perspective. The vice that will stop us from anasuya and shraddha is abhyasuya. Abhyasuya. which is the opposite of anasuya. The prefix abhi means from all directions. So abhyasuya, this is one who is negative in all directions. And if one is negative in all directions, then naturally one is not going to follow and further Sri Krishna's teachings. So this is being compared in verse 31, verse 32, always keeping in mind, why is Sri Krishna sharing this? Because Prince Arjuna, he is afraid to act. Do not forget chapter 1 and chapter 2. He is afraid to act. He is confused, and Sri Krishna is helping him on addressing his fear. Chapter 3 is not about action, it's about fear to act. And that's why the word muchante was shared, which means to be free. Whenever we're afraid, we're bound. Whenever we're courageous, we are free. We continue. Before I explain verse 33, giving you an orientation because matters are becoming more authentic, more deep. Who are you? Right now, we are dependent on our experiences. In Sanskrit, this is phala. Why do we engage in experiences? Because we want a phala. The source of this is our equipment. In Sanskrit, karma. How do we facilitate experiences or phala? With our karma. The source of this is the ego. In Sanskrit, that is the guna. Everyone's together. The guna expresses as karma, which expresses as phala. The point being, if you want to know who you are, this has to be a comprehensive science. You have to know who you are on the surface, at the depth. You have to know who you are not, to know who you are. We're on verse 33. Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakritir jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Sadrisham, in accordance with, aligned with. Cheshtate, how one thinks and speaks and acts. Swasyaha, one's own. Sri Krishna is orienting us to the framework of guna, karma, phala. But the focus here is on guna. I think and speak and act according to my prakriti, according to my nature, jnanavanapi. Even though I have jnana, still I act according to my propensities, my vasanas. This is the translation. Shri Krishna can read Prince Arjuna's mind. I shared with all of you in our recent Vedanta and Bhagavata class the same. That Shri Krishna knows what we need, what we want. He senses from Prince Arjuna that there is abhyasuya. There is a negativity towards what he's teaching. And that negativity is not immature, but rather he's expressing that this is difficult. We all feel the same way. Jnana vanapi, even for those who have knowledge, those who have knowledge yet do not follow that knowledge. Their knowledge is only intellectual. I have observed that the majority of the knowledge that comes into our lives, specifically in the secular sense, is intellectual. That's why many people describe themselves as spiritual but not religious, which means they like the philosophy, but they don't like to practice that philosophy. So another word for intellectual is superficial. If one has an intellectual understanding, that really means they have a superficial understanding because there is not anasuya. There is not shraddha. They're approaching a subjective science objectively. And that faith that they can follow this is not strong. That is a self-destructive way to live and certainly to study Bhagavad Gita. The second line, Prakritim yanti bhutani. Prakriti here again means guna. Okay, everyone? Phala comes from karma. Karma comes from guna. Shri Krishna is taking us deeper. Yanti. Yanti means directs, pushes, pulls. Who? Bhutani. Bhutani means beings. Whether one has jnana or ajnana, all beings. Nigraha. Nigraha means to control. Kim karishyati. What will control do? This is the translation. Feel this. How many times we set our alarm at night to wake up early, and when that alarm clock is going off, our willpower is defeated. The same goes with eating desserts. The same goes with not comparing oneself. The same goes with succumbing to working for money. Yes? Try to quantify how long, just in terms of time, you have been controlling the intellect, the mind, the senses, the body. Yet, we come back to our guna. Reasons for this. Longer than we have lived intentionally, we have lived instinctually. That takes precedent over our intention. Another reason for this is attachment. If I'm attached to my family, if I'm attached to my profession, even though I'm trying to move in this direction, but there's so many strings attached that when they're moving in that direction, where do I go? In that direction. Practically, how to assess this? Imagine that there is a meter in your brain or mind that was able to analyze what you're thinking about. What percentage of your thoughts are directed towards evolution? What percentage of your thoughts are directed towards the functional? I have to drive here, I have to clean this, I have to buy this, I have to call that person. So when Sri Krishna says, we are our nature, we're feeling, no, we're not. Imagine that meter in your mind. That will be a grave reality check for us. That's why anasuya, Shraddha, without these virtues, we cannot follow these teachings. Swami Tejromayananda shared, guilt can help us grow. All of us should feel guilty if we don't follow these teachings. We have guilt about very worldly matters. We should have guilt about these matters of discipline. How come I didn't wake up? How come I said this to this person? Internalize that guilt to help you grow. From inspiration to application. First of all, smile. At least we have access to this, right? Just feel the one who doesn't have access to this. What future, what hope do they have? And please do not feel that there's a sense of elitism here. This is open to all. I'm happy that many more on Instagram are joining Meaningful Mornings. It's open. Some of your past Ra's were to come up with a leadership list for leading others. You can share that in the chat so I can read some of those. Another recent application was you organizing yourself for Bhagavad Gita. That would be anasuya, correct? Being positive about what's going to happen over the next 800 mornings. You can share about that. Your most recent application was to learn from an experience this month instead of regretting it. My observation towards this, you can only evolve in the present. Can you evolve 10 years ago? Can you evolve 10 years from now? Even if you're going to evolve 10 years from now, when are you going to do it? In the present. That's why learning from the past is critical to help us be in the present where evolution can manifest. Otherwise, this is a wasted opportunity. Your application for this morning, I want you to reflect on unhealthy actions that you used to engage in, but you no longer engage in. What have you done in your lifetime, particularly since you have been an adult? What did you do that was self-destructive or selfish that you no longer do? Okay? So do reflect on this, share this on our website. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.